Hey, it's Matt. Welcome to an episode of UNBEARABLE 73. Yeah, you can see not a lot of enthusiasm. I was debating doing like a full review over the Ahsoka show because she is my third favorite Star Wars character after Luke and Mara Jade. I really enjoyed her in Clone Wars. You know, when she had our tragic end with Darth Vader in Rebels, I was sad, but it was the ending you kind of knew was coming. That had to happen. That her and Annie had to have one more meeting, and it wasn't the one that we wanted. Because we knew Vader's fate, but And then when Filoni and Favreau used time travel to save her, I was kind of okay with it. It jumped off forward past the into the post Episode 6 era. Even if it did put her in Disney Star Wars, And, there's always been the rumors that Favreau, who apparently has left Disney or is in the process of leaving it, and Filoni have sort of wanted to not do Disney Star Wars, right? But then they did it. I mean, this series, it's not as bad as Obi-Wan. I mean, Obi-Wan is like Highlander 2 is better than Obi-Wan. Only Highlanders 4 and 5 are worse than Obi-Wan. On the scale of bad, okay? Right? Because they ruined the character of Kenobi. And there's only like some small bits here and there in Obi-Wan, plus one 1 minute sequence where it's like Star Wars-y and feels good and good writing. But in what were there, 6 episodes of that garbage, there's less than half an hour of watchable material. Okay? And we are in for that in a sense with Ahsoka but not for the same reasons. Ahsoka is not bad, okay? You can see that Favreau, especially Filoni, were more hands-on here, and and they were way better writers than almost anyone else writing Disney right now. So there was okay writing here. There wasn't too much of the stuff like in with the fire where Vader could instantly put out fire. But then the second later, when the fire lit up, you couldn't instantly put it out, And when, with the teleporting, Obi-Wan and all that, and all the horrible writing bits we know, for example, in Obi-Wan, not a lot of that is here. So if you're going to be horrified by writing, you won't be horrified by writing here, right? What you do get for writing is, first off, it's very boring. There's a lot, there's whole sequences where stuff happens, and in the audience, they're just dragging out scenes, like when Ahsoka is going Indiana Jones mode to get the star map to Thrawn. Is this a thing in Star Wars? Do you have does everyone who has a name have a hypernet GPS transponder in their body so you can just build star maps to them? Does Han Solo have one where you can build a star map to Han Solo because he's a named character? Or maybe is that what? Why would someone even build a star map to Thrawn? I'll throw another guy. I'll say, the space whale. I mean, I'm joking about it. It wasn't a bad ending to Rebels. Rebels was okay. Let me get that on the photo. Clone Wars was hit or miss, but overall really good. There was some parts of Star. I'm not talking Janity's Clone Wars, which were good overall. There were only 8 episodes, but the full Clone Wars series, it was. There were chunks of it that were hit or miss, but overall it was 7, 8 out of 10 good, right? It was better than the prequel trilogy, I'll put it that way. And Rebels was okay. It was not something there are some episodes of Rebels I'll watch a second time or some fight scenes or whatever, but I won't, like I said, but it's just okay, right? So when I'm joking here, I'm not saying Rebels is bad. So that's another thing. To understand Ahsoka, in theory, you've watched Clone Wars and Rebels. Okay, the problem here, I think I'm not gonna make a 35-minute video doing this. I'll probably do 10 minutes to 15 at most. Okay, so the number one problem here is that you have a really good actress, Rosario Dawson, who can play a variety of characters, but Filoni himself seems to have forgotten who created Ahsoka, essentially, or one of the creators behind her, forgot how she acts. I'll get to the fighting in a minute, but the acting, Ahsoka has a sense of energy to her. Even when she's older Ahsoka, like in Rebels, there's like Ahsoka doesn't wait. She, she's how do I put it? She's tense without being intense. If you ever heard that phrase, you know, she's always she's like she's not just waiting. She's stalking. You know what I mean? She has a sort of, you always have that Ahsoka is on the verge of doing something whenever she's on the screen, and she's trying to think. On one hand, she's energetic and she's trying to restrain herself because she's learned patience. But on the other hand, she's trying to think her way. She's trying to balance her energy with her thought process. All we get from this portrayal, and again, I'm not going to blame Dawson for it. I'm going to blame the writing. Is Ahsoka's constantly pondering stuff and waiting. Okay, and she's always going places for no logical reason, spending way too much time there. Right, so that one aspect of Ahsoka is off. Another aspect that's off is her fighting style. Okay, it seems like I'm guessing the only reason that Dawson's fighting style resembles Ahsoka is because Dawson herself watched the episodes and is trying to mirror it. Because whoever is the combat choreographer on this should be fired. Okay, example. Disney did it to themselves. Okay, if you line up Vader, arguably the best final act in all Star Wars movies is the final act of Rebel One. Okay, now if you take the Vader part out of it, it's pretty good. But then Empire, then the three prequel trilogy final acts become better than Rogue One, and so forth. But the combination of the tragedy of the final act of Rogue One plus the Vader scene elevated and the tension, man. So Vader has the hallway scene, right? And if you watch, the rebels aren't just shooting straight at his lightsaber. Vader actually move around, dodge. Not dodge per se, but he has to actively intercept the things coming in different angles. He has to use Force TK to take guys out who might not get the lightsaber to. Okay, the Force is guiding him in it, right? So then you fast forward to the hallway scene in Mandalorian when Luke shows up. Okay, now Luke being Vader's son, it made sense to do an homage to that and link Luke and Vader, whereas Vader did it for evil, Luke did it for good. And again, Luke is moving the saber around. They're shooting at all different angles and so forth, right? And even go past that, okay? The choreography, the combat choreography in the Mandalorian first two seasons was very good. There was some holes here or there, but it was very good. But the lightsaber combat at the end was like 8 out of 10. Almost 9 out of 10 from the way they choreographed it. Luke constantly moved. He was the robot troopers were trying to shoot him from different angles, trying to get him different ways, and he had to use his abilities in the Force to deal with it. Right? So go to Darth Pulo's. I love the actor, but I can't stand the role, so I'm just gonna call him Darth Pulo because to try to elevate it in some fashion. Okay, go to his hallway scene. They shoot at his lightsaber. Literally, wherever he puts his lightsaber, like he holds it here, it's like a bunch of shots go there. Then he keeps moving down, a bunch of shots go there. He's not intercepting or moving around. They're deliberately shooting straight at him. And that happens to get scene after scene in this. When Ahsoka is fighting those robots, right? When she first fights those robots, they get a little bit of Ahsoka's fighting style. When she goes underground, use deceptive tactics, she's what we call in classic Star Wars a Form 5 user, okay? She doesn't just play defense, she uses defense to initiate offense, okay? And she's aggressive and in a sense that she dictates the pace. That's what Form 5 is about. You still have Ceresu underneath it, right? But you dictate the pace. And there's different... So I'm not going to go nerdy on you because like Ahsoka uses a particular version of Form 5 where she fights reverse holding, with the stuff, okay? And harsh sweeping attacks and all. And she does occasionally, you'll see her go hit single hand or whatever. So she's capable of using all Form 5. Okay, she's very good at it because that's essentially what Anakin and... Wait, I'm going wonky there with you guys, okay? But the point, it has a visual way of fighting, which in that one fight scene when she fights the 4 or 5 robots, you see some aspects how Ahsoka would normally fight, by misdirection, moving around, attacking people from the angles they didn't expect. But the problem is you don't see other aspects of how Ahsoka would fight, which is she is constantly aggressing on the opponents. She doesn't So, for example, she'll leap over them to attack them. She fights kind of like Anakin before Anakin evolved into Vader. Okay, if you imagine Anakin when he fought, the second fight against Dooku, that's kind of how Ahsoka fights. Okay, kinda. There's a little variance to it, but kind of. Okay, now where does this leave us? Okay, so you have Ahsoka with not getting her character quite right, not getting her fighting style quite right, but they get some of it right, and she's the main character. Okay, so if Ahsoka fails, right, this is something pro wrestling fans know. Okay, you have to have your face and you have to have your heel or heels. Okay, the face, but the heels are the ones who set the story for the face to overcome. So the heels set the obstacles. They work the crowd, right? So what villains? So in order for the villains of this piece to work it to set up for Ahsoka to be the hero, Ahsoka herself has to be a face. She has to be someone that you want to see win. But you can't root for her because she's always just sort of, I'll just go there and do that. I'll go there and do that. Like she doesn't act like Ahsoka would. Now, if this were a brand new character, okay, then you could say, well, then you just have some you have some subpar story writing. They didn't even establish his character or whatever. But that's a different argument. Okay, we have a history with Ahsoka that they have to follow. So now we go to our villains. Okay, I want to talk about our villains. We have I don't remember the character's name yet, but the one who is a descendant of one of the Night Sisters of Dathomir, our claim. For those who don't know from Star Wars, Clone Wars, they're an alternative type of Force user. They don't follow the Jedi or the Sith way. They follow a third way, which makes them basically dark side users who aren't Sith for all practical purposes. There's a whole that's the important reference there. And for some reason, Darth Pullo and his apprentice and this other guy are serving her. Now, Darth Pullo does drop a few comments about, he's doing it, he's looking for Thrawn for his own reasons. I don't know about, that's the whole lead in. But, again, Ray Stevens is a very good actor, a top level actor. And he's given nothing. like there's no impact to his character. Like he's not menacingly evil. He's not there's no for him to be a heel to set the board for the face to be the hero. He doesn't he's not doing anything. So the question is, are you supposed to have sympathy for him? Is he a kind of borderline character? I don't know. And his apprentice just comes across as I don't even know. I have no way to assess her. I mean, she's cute, so you give it that. That's about the best you can say, right? So what else? So when you get to, and this is a spoiler, obviously. There's the atrocious final lightsaber fight between Ahsoka, Darth Blondie, and the other dude, and we've seen Ahsoka beat more difficult opponents in Clone Wars. Ahsoka literally stood up to Vader. Now, she hit him in that. She struck him a blow. She didn't kill him, but she was good enough to take Vader's head off. Almost, okay? Granted, he was a little distracted. But the Force, if you're distracted in the Force, and you have the Force, that's a weakness on you, not on the person exploiting it. Excuse me. So, yet she has trouble with Darth, with apprentice Darth, the blonde apprentice Blondie and Robo guy or whatever he is. How? And she looks inept. They made Rosario Dawson compared to the previous fight with the robots. She looked inept in this one. Okay. So what else do we get? This is very boring. Pacing was horrible. Sorry, my throat's very dry. And Pepsi, if you're out there looking, I'll always take that Pepsi sponsorship someday. What what else can I say? I don't want to belabor this, okay? I got the feeling about a third of the way into episode 2 that if Ahsoka just sent Luke a DM or an email and said, "Hey, I got a situation going on," and so Luke could show up, for the end scene, this might not have taken more than one more episode to resolve. But that's what be that as it may. Lastly, watching Ahsoka is not going to be a horrible experience like it was some other Star Wars. But she's my third favorite character, and this is not making me like her more. Those are my thoughts. I don't know if I'm going to do more thoughts on the follow-up on this couple episodes or just one final one near the end. I've been blackpilled on Star Wars since Obi-Wan basically, for me, the final blow. And, go if you want a full, great breakdown, rip apart breakdown, Desparo is your guy. Okay? I disagree with a couple of comments he said, but overall, his thing is good. Of course, Ante Mando, she has a good review of it, too. Joker's Voice has a good review. Those are the ones I watched so far. Roman of the Empire on his channel, they're doing a live breakdown of it, probably this evening. It'll be before this episode posts, but after I filmed it. So check that out as well. Thank you. My name is Matt. This has been my thoughts on Star Wars, on Ahsoka episodes 1 and 2. Have a nice day, and I am out of here.